Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Well, as a baseball fan, I have an opinion on Pete Rose. Of course, if you did not hear, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred announced this week that any player on the permanently banned list will have that his name taken off as of upon his death. Pete Rose, of course, passed away late last year. And so that clears the way for Pete Rose to be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it has been an ongoing discussion for years. Does Pete Rose belong in the Hall of Fame? And if you're talking about the Baseball Hall of Fame for baseball, accomplishments, Pete Rose deserves to be there. I mean, there's no question about that. The problem is Pete Rose is a very complex individual, to put it nicely. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but HBO did a 4-part documentary on Pete Rose in which they interviewed Pete Rose. And the problem with Pete Rose is he never showed contrition. And the thing that always bothers me was baseball said he bet on baseball, and that's why they banned him. And Pete Rose denied for years he did not bet on baseball. And then all of a sudden, on the eve of his last shot at getting in the players category, or eligible for 15 years, he comes out with a book and says, yeah, I bet on baseball. The problem then is Pete still would not be contrite. That's not in his makeup. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people had with Pete Rose, and that's one of the reasons why they want to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Now, listen, he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame in the worst way, but Pete Rose did everything to prevent him being in the Hall of Fame while he was alive. Now, would it mean something for his family to get in there? Well, yeah, I guess. But it's kind of like too little, too late type of thing. And there was an interesting article I read that was done by The Athletic, and it talked to a number of Hall of Famers where they stand with Pete Rose. And I thought it was very interesting. The one person who commented on this, Jim Cott, and he said, Pete Rose never was contrite. Pete Rose denied. Then he said he did, but he was never contrite. And he always would throw it in baseball's face that he wasn't in the Hall of Fame and he wanted to be in the Hall of Fame. And I just think it's sad that they didn't recognize him in his lifetime, but yet he brought it on himself. At which point does he accept responsibility for what he did? Well, Pete Rose went to his grave never accepting responsibility. And I think that's part of the problem. That's a big part of the problem. But I'm not one of the voters on the Hall of Fame. I'm not on the committee. Chances are Shoeless Joe Jackson and Pete Rose will be in the Hall of Fame very shortly. If not this go-round, maybe next go-round. It's kind of like the steroid users, the PED era of baseball. I think you are going to start seeing some of those players be elected to the Hall of Fame. And part of the reason is just because, baseball is a very hard sport to play. And do I think PEDs changed the game? They might have. But yet, you still have to hit the baseball. And last time I checked, PEDs did not allow you to hit the baseball. That is a God-given talent. I've said this to a number of people, and I sincerely mean this. There is no better feeling as a golfer than to hit a drive and hit it right. There's a feel. The other thing that is so difficult is hitting a baseball or a softball over a fence. There is a feeling when you hit it perfectly. And I got to tell you, it's a tough feeling to do. And it's tough to do that all the time. So therefore, I don't think PEDs help these players. May have helped them recover, may have hit the ball farther and longer, may have hit, more home runs, but you still got to hit the ball. And I'm sorry, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, they did something people couldn't do. Sammy Sosa, put him in there too. I don't know. Sometimes we do want our athletes to be, they're heroes and on pedestals. And sometimes we put them on pedestals when maybe they shouldn't be. I mean, listen, Mickey Mantle was my favorite player growing up. I got to see him play before he retired, but Mickey Mantle even said he wasn't a hero. And Mickey Mantle, what he did when he was off the field was just unreal. And he was not what you would call a role model. But Mickey Mantle was played up as the All-American boy. And I don't know whether that was, it was a product of the times, and the fact he was playing on the New York Yankees, which were, at the time, the Cadillac of baseball's teams, I should say. But, some of these guys don't necessarily deserve to be on pedestals. And as you, and I mean, listen, I'm going to bring up a name, and I know you're going to know it, O.J. Simpson. He was somebody for years, everybody thought he had it all. Great career, beautiful wife, beautiful wives. And then it all came crashing down when his ex-wife was murdered. And there are people, and then, of course, while O.J. did not serve time for that, he ended up serving time for robbery. And listen, O.J. got paid back in spades. And O.J. Simpson went to his grave saying he didn't do it. I don't know if he did. I don't know if he didn't. But O.J. Simpson, I don't know if he ever got forgiven, but O.J. Simpson was allowed to live a life. And unfortunately for O.J. Simpson, that life out of the spotlight and out of the notoriety, I think was tougher for him than life in the spotlight. Although, again, there are O.J. Simpson was such a complicated person, and I don't think we ever will know the real O.J. Simpson, because again, he put on a persona for a number of years. And the funny part of it was, even his colleagues did not know that O.J. was like he was, and that's sad. But again, people put on facades, and people put on faces, and people deny things. That's human nature. It's funny because there's a series now at the church I attend, which is Compassion Christian in Savannah, and the lies we tell. And it's interesting how it plays into normal life. There's some lies we tell, and we believe them, and we go along with them. Not necessarily the best thing to do, but people lie to themselves. I lie to myself. I say I don't need to lose weight. Well, I need to lose weight. Trust me. Just take a look. There are lies. Listen, I'll be 66 next month. I still think I'm 39. No, I'm not. There are things I cannot do, and that's what I had. That's what you have to come to grips with. That's really the thing. So that is Tripp's Take for May the 16th, 2022. I appreciate your comments and questions about Tripp's Take. All you got to do is email trippstake@gmail.com. And, of course, the NFL schedule was announced, and that means, here we go, fantasy football not too far away. The Hall of Famer Mike Sheck and yours truly will be back with another season of the Fantasy Sultans, which you can find on Spotify for Creators, YouTube. Just search for Fantasy Sultans. Same places you can find Tripp's Take. If you like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, give a listen to WTRSradio.com. Join us again next week. For now, I'm Tripp Rogers. Thank you very much, and make it a great one.